My name is Jodi Draper. My husband and I have lived here in Mason City for about 20 years. All of our kids have gone to school here. Our 5 that were raised in Mason. I have a stepson. He went to school outside of Mason City. They've all graduated from Mason City except 2. We have 2 at home, 16 and 14. I decided to run. I had a little bit more time with the kids getting older, and because I have a passion for the community of Mason City, the citizens, the business, the organizations, I want to see us to continue to grow and prosper. And I felt I needed a little bit more time for investigation when I thought about it a few years ago. So I've taken the last couple years to try to do research, get more informed, and get more in touch with the public, my neighbors, the community.
Many of the people that have been active in this election have talked about the direction that the city is going. How would you describe that direction?
I believe that the direction of Mason City, honestly, when you look back through the history, 1991, they were talking about downtown. 2007, they got the $9 million grant to leverage the $30,000 for the downtown renovations and the stuff. So I think there might have been different approaches on how to get there, but it has been talked about. The downtown, expanding, economic development, those are all things that when you look back at campaigns, people have said. I think we all have a compassion for Mason City. We might just have different philosophies of how to get there. I'd like to see us look out to the Avenue of the Saints, what we can grab there. The first restaurant is 3 miles from that exit there. What can we do to draw people in, that are traveling on that road? I just want to make sure that there's inclusive representation for everyone, that the community knows that if I'm elected, they send an email, they're getting an answer. Whether it be that I need to send them on to someone else who has the expertise for that answer, but that they'll know that they were responded to and listened to. That's really important to me. We're a community, and our elected officials need to know that they're representing us, the community.
Let's talk about jobs. What do you think that should be the council's role in providing good jobs that we need here, and how would you go about doing that?
I believe that we have 2 organizations that's one of their purposes, the North Iowa Corridor and the Chamber of Commerce. I want to support them. I want to help them and make sure whatever they need from the city, that it's fiscally responsible to do so. But make sure that, we're welcoming. The employees of the city are the heartbeat of Mason City. Elected officials come and go. They've worked 20, 30, 10 years. When prospects come into Mason City, the person behind the counter, the person that's working on the street, their attitude, who they are, they represent Mason City. And if we have happy, qualified employees, that's going to bring true. Economic development classes teach you about advertising, marketing, business formulas. The one piece of paper that they give you, the 6 things economic class doesn't teach you, one of those is the culture of the city, when they meet and greet the workers of our city. And we have great workers.
Do you think the $100,000 or $105,000 given to the EDC is a good investment? And do you think that should continue or be increased?
I would have to look at all of the budgetary numbers for that, being in finance, and that's my goal. I would have to see everything. I'd want to sit down and talk to Mr. Jacobson. I would want to know how they are spending it, line by general ledger line item. What they're using it for to go prospect, advertise Mason City, how is that going? I don't think to just give a blanket answer would do them justice, or the citizens justice. It would take research and some communication.
What should the working relationship be like between the mayor, the city council members, and the city staff, especially the directors?
Well, I think they're a team. I think that inside of a team, in any business boardroom, you're representing different aspects of that team, that it's okay to have a discussion. It's okay to disagree with the person that's next to you. It shouldn't affect that relationship. because a business grows when you look outside at somebody else's view, because there's always two sides to the story to know how it's going to be affecting everyone. I think a discussion is okay. I think maintaining professionalism is also important.
Okay. Getting at the day-to-day working relationship of the city council and the city staff, how much interaction should there be? Do you look at a management situation, a micromanagement situation?
I think the code says that the city council has nothing to do with city staff as far as employment. When I read that, as far as disciplinary action, that is up to the city administrator. And I believe that we should adhere to the code. We're here to look at fire, police, operating budgets, and that's where our role needs to be. I would support city employees. They got hired, I believe, by the staff that's there because they're qualified to do a job. I want them to have a good working environment, but my role as a city council member would not be to interfere and micromanage. If it came to a policy issue, a city ordinance issue to look at, I absolutely would be diligent in doing that.
This past year, one of the more controversial actions that the council took involved the Human Rights Commission cutting their budget from $143,000 to $15,000. What's your opinion of that decision?
I'm in support of local offices. When we regionalized with 21 counties, everybody's fear was they were going to lose jobs, that everything would be focused into the bigger counties. The smaller counties, rural counties, would not have an office open. When you talk to any person, they want to have somebody answer the phone. They want to be able to go somewhere and see someone. You want to be able to sit down and have a conversation and explain to them what's going on. I'm very much in support of local control. I actually did speak at the council before I had announced running and voiced my opinion as a citizen that I didn't think it was the correct thing to do. I'm not saying the budget couldn't have been looked at. I'm not saying that things could have been revised, as in because everything to look at to make sure that the money was being fiscally responsible. Lowering the budget, changing it. There was many options that we could have taken besides just removing our local office and sending it to the state. I know when I call state numbers, you usually press 3, press 5. It takes 6 days for somebody to get back to you.
If you're elected, give us an idea of what your 2 or 3 top issues, top priorities would be.
We want inclusive representation. I want for the people to know that whatever their issues are, I want to look at them one at a time, want to research them with thoughtful decision making, fiscal responsibility. And fiscal responsibility doesn't always mean monetary value back in dollars. Fiscal responsibility also means, is that service doing the population, the community, a good thing? You might not get money back on that return, but if it's a service, then that's a return. I want to look at making sure we're supportive of economic growth, economic development, that we're welcoming. I also want to look and see what we can do. The infrastructure's already laid out by the Avenue of the Saints, to see what we can do to market that.
I know you've probably been out and about knocking on doors and everything. What are you hearing from people? What are you hearing of what are their concerns in your ward there generally?
A lot of it has to do with traffic on streets, signs with children playing. Why I went for Ward 2 after I announced at large was because of knocking on those doors and feeling like, I'm from Ward 2, I've lived there. I need to be able to represent my community and my neighbors. I think I could do a better job with that. The non-responsiveness of not getting emails answered, of not getting phone calls answered, feeling like they're only remembered 6 minutes before Election Day.
Jodi, when you're out knocking on doors, that strange face greets you, person you've never spoken to before, who has never met you before. If you only had 30 seconds to convince them to vote for you, what would you say?
Well, I knock on the door, I tell them my name's Jodi Draper, I'm running for City Council Ward 2. I'd like to represent them. If they have any questions, we could go over that. For 4 years, if I'm sitting at the table, the citizens of this community are my boss, and I will not forget that.